Hello, this is Carlos. I'm reading something that I wrote. It may have to be a two-part video. It's kind of long. But it's called, If There Is No God. If there is no God, how do we define what is good and what is evil? If there is no reward or condemnation for us after we die, this then lets us live our lives however we want to. If we within ourselves have the knowledge of good and evil, and it is based on how each man or nation reveals it to themselves or to one another, then I cannot say to someone who does not believe the way I do that his actions are wrong. Example, if my nation and I believe that all men are equal and that we should not murder or take what is not ours, this sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? Well, then we have a nation of people that love war and murder and think that everyone else should be their slaves. These people believe that what they do is good, and they see that what the so-called good nation does is evil. And even within this nation of warlike people, they have no respect for one another, yet it is all good to them. If there was a higher power to put into motion how people are to live, would it make a difference? There is free will, and whether God allows it or it is just something that is part of all human life, free will can be evil and it can be good. But to be under the will of God is the greatest way to live. But even with those who believe in God, some of them still do what they want. These people are worse off than the ones that don't believe in God. They know what awaits them after death, that there is a day of judgment. But for someone who does not believe in God, they believe that when they die, that there is nothing beyond death, that there is no place to go, that there is no day of judgment, that evil and good go to the same place. Then these people, they must live their lives according to how they see themselves. And based on how each person or nation lives, it is all good, because if there is no higher power in whom they believe, then there is no way to determine what is good or evil. Each man will live the way he wants to. If free will is the way to live, there should be no law to impute that which is free, but there has to be a law to regulate what is called free will. If I say I do not believe in God, and I don't mean a man-made God, but the God that made everything, then it is okay for me to impose my will upon you if you do not like it. This is why there are laws, even if they are man-made laws. They are there to regulate our actions so that we don't impose our will on others. This sounds good, doesn't it? Well, if the law of man says that if I murder someone, then I must be punished, will that keep me from murdering? I don't think so, because if there is nothing awaiting me after death, if my final judgment is by man, then I, as a person that enjoys doing evil, will try to do as much harm as possible. If I do not believe in a reward or condemnation by a higher power, then I will not care to be the meanest person on the earth. Now I know of a man that believes in God, but he believes in a God of old, the God that requires ritual services, that God, the God that said an eye for an eye, and this man is held in high regard, and he goes around persecuting and killing people that don't believe the way he and the others like the others of his kind believe. This man is praised by his peers. He loves and enjoys persecuting and killing. This man hates Jesus Christ and his followers, and he had killed a lot of the followers of Christ. One day, as this man was walking and being happy for killing people, he heard a voice, and a bright light was seen, and the voice told him, "Why do you persecute me?" This man asked, "Who are you?" And the voice answered and said, "I am Jesus Christ whom you persecute." This man was blinded by Christ, and Christ told him to go and see a man that would help him understand and also to get his eyesight back. Well, to make a long story short, this man changed the way he was, and he became one of the people that he used to enjoy persecuting. I don't see any way that this man could have changed and become a follower of Jesus Christ unless there is a real living God. I myself enjoyed the life of crime and so-called fast life. So what was it that made me stop and change my way of living? Why would I stop doing what I enjoyed? But I did not stop because I wanted to, but it was because He, Christ, wanted me to. The only way to truly understand what happened is that a higher power pulled me out and put me into His way of life. There are people that don't believe in God, and there are people that don't believe in God and they are very nice. There are people that don't believe in God that are very evil. And there are people that believe in God and they are good. And then there are people that believe in God and they are very evil. So it is not whether we believe or don't believe, because God believes in us whether we believe in Him. And He has the power to change the mind of anyone He wants to. Now about man creating God or gods. If it is true that man created God or gods out of his own mind, then this God is not a higher power. Actually, the God that is created by man is no God whatsoever. He is really just the imagination of man and is indeed man himself. And with this in mind, it is basically the same as someone who does not believe in God. Everything surrounding gods made by man are set in motion only to please himself and to say that he himself is God, whether he knows it or not. What is sin? Sin is defined as breaking the law. What is law? Law is set. Law is a set of rules that have been established by someone in authority, and that person or God has made punishments and rewards and judgments for everyone that breaks and keeps the law. And I'm going to have to stop and go to part 2.